What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're going to talk some football. Houston Texans football. We are less than 2 weeks away from the Houston Texans season opener versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're going to talk. We're going to do a little breakdown. We're going to talk about a position that I'm concerned about. Like I told y'all in my last video, this position is not the one I'm most concerned about. That's the running back position, like I told y'all last time. But I've been talking about this position for the longest, and that's the secondary. The corners especially, but the secondary as a whole. Has the secondary really improved from the team that we seen give up 51 points versus the Kansas City Chiefs? The last time we seen this team on the field, they gave up 51 points versus the Kansas City Chiefs, who we about to play less than 2 weeks from now. So is this more of the same, or has this secondary really improved like the Texans have y'all to believe? So let's talk about, we're going to break it down. And the first person we're going to talk about is Bradley Roby, the guy we brought in last year on a 1-year contract. Then we gave him a contract extension this year. And we brought this guy in basically, especially now, to be our #1 corner. And last year, he didn't. Last year, he missed a couple games, but he ended off the season with 8 pass deflections, 2 picks. One was a pick 6 and a fumble recovery. And the thing about Bradley Roby is that he's very versatile. He can play both inside, he can play both outside, and he has playmaking abilities. And I know in the beginning of the season, I think he missed 5 games in the beginning of the season. He wasn't aggressive enough. I think he was a little bit more on the conservative side, and I think that has something to do with him not trusting, him being new to the team, him really not trusting the guys. And I think the Texans as a whole, as an organization, might do Bradley Roby a disservice on 2 fronts. One is the safety help. That's one of the reasons why I was entertaining bringing in Jamal Adams. I really wish they would bring in Eric Reid, or I know a lot of people want them to go after Earl Thomas. You want to solidify the safety position because Bradley Roby is the type of corner who likes to take chances and he likes to gamble. But if he doesn't trust the guys that he's around, he's not going to take those type of gambles that he wants to make. And if you go back and watch the tape on Bradley Roby could have made more plays. If he would have made half of the interceptions that he got his hands on, he possibly could end up being like topping the NFL, at least topping the AFC in picks, because he had a lot of missed opportunities that, a lot of picks that he dropped, some pick sixes. If you go back and watch that Buffalo game against the playoffs, he dropped 2 pick sixes in that game. One early on in the first half there, he would have walked into the end zone, and then another one on Buffalo's last drive. If he catches that, the game is over. It won't be no overtime. You don't get no Deshaun Watson spin move to Tywan Jones and at the end of overtime. You won't even get none of those type of plays if he would have got that pick, because the game would have been over. He didn't have to take it to the house if he would just complete the interception. That is something he needs to work on. But another thing that the Texans have him do as a disservice is that I want them to bring in another outside corner. That way he didn't have to play outside, and he could play in the inside, because like I said, he can play both inside and out, but he's better suited to play in the slot. He's better. He's more effective as a slot corner than he is an outside corner, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Chris Harris has been an All-Pro at being a slot corner. He's been the first team All-Pro corner at playing in the slot. So he's better suited. That's the reason why it was kind of up and down his career in Denver. I'm talking about Bradley Roby. It's kind of up and down his career in Denver because they had him going both inside and outside. And his good games, his better games was in the inside. And some of the games he kind of slacked off with was the outside. Part of the reason why is because he's a smaller corner. And this is going to be to his detriment. We play in division. We play against a lot of big receivers. The Titans got A.J. Brown. They got Corey Davis. The Colts just drafted what's his name? Michael Pittman Jr. out of USC. So those are big rangy receivers. They big and tall, and Bradley Roby is a smaller frame corner. And if you go back and watch the game against the Titans, Bradley Roby got abused in that first half against A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was straight manhandling Bradley Roby because he was covering him. It wasn't until we switched and we moved Gary Conley on him that A.J. Brown, some of his production started slacking off a little bit, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But that's part. If you have a better outside corner, you can use Bradley Roby in the inside, because Bradley Roby is good against the fast, shiftier receivers. Remember, he came in last year and said we brought him in to take care of T.Y. Hilton, who's always been throwing the Texan side. So yeah, T.Y. Hilton, possibly Tyreek Hill. Bradley Roby can exceed and cover those guys quite well. It's the bigger receivers who we play twice a year in Tennessee and now also in Indianapolis that might cause problems for Bradley Roby. And like I say, if he uses his hands, if he got half of the interceptions that he should have gotten, he would have been way more effective, and he could actually have a Pro Bowl type of season. But it's because we mix and match. We have this game plan offense, game plan defense. We whatever y'all do, we counter it. So that's okay. We're gonna put him on the outside here. We're gonna put him in the inside there. And yeah, it all sounds good, but it doesn't give the team enough continuity. And Bradley Roby even said himself that last year it was just a cast of guys. Like that we did a whole bunch of guys new to the team, and something else I'm gonna get into later on in the video as well. But Bradley Roby didn't, like I said. I mean, he had Reid, who's coming off a shoulder injury because the whole car accident, and then also you had Gibson as the other safety. He really didn't trust the safeties. Not to mention, like I say, him playing inside and outside. I would like the Texans to go after somebody like James Bradberry. That way, Bradley Roby could have played primarily slot corner this year. I think that would have been more solidified. But he does have talent capability, and him, his running mate, who I'm about to mention right now, Garyon Conley, the guy we brought in last year mid-season. Last year, Garyon Conley had, as a season total, 13 pass deflections, 1 pick, no touchdowns, and no forced fumble recoveries. But he played 8 games with the Texans. He had 11 of those pass deflections. Out of his 13 pass deflections, he had 11 of them. With the Texans, he had 11 pass deflections in 8 games, and the pick he had when he was with the Raiders. And if you go back and watch that Buffalo game, he played very well. He had 3 pass deflections in that game. I know at least 2 of them went in the end zone. There were he stopped 2 touchdowns, and he had 1 on the sideline while Buffalo was trying to make their comeback. So he played very well, and him and Roby have some history. They did both go to Ohio State. I didn't know that they overlapped, but Roby said it in his press conference a couple weeks ago that I guess his senior year was Garyon Conley's freshman year, and that Garyon Conley happened to be his little brother, who they had had Garyon Conley follow Bradley Roby around and basically get the ropes of how to live on campus, how to do this, how to do that. So him and Garyon Conley had a relationship. He said it's kind of weird that now they're on the same team. And last year, you trade for Garyon Conley mid-season. Bradley Roby, you brought in via free agency. So both of them were new to the city of Houston. They both are new to the Texans, and you brought one guy in mid-season. And like I said about Garyon Conley probably pound for pound is the best corner on the team, if you want to be completely honest. If you look at the skill set, it's probably the best one pound for pound on the team. He's very effective, especially in man coverage and things like that. I made this video when we first traded for him, and I said that part of his problem was he didn't use his hands properly. He didn't feel the routes. And sometimes when he's playing off coverage and he doesn't get his hands on the receiver, he loses the receiver a lot, mostly because he's not using his hands properly. He's not using his to guide the receiver to fill out the routes. And I think that's more so technique, and I think that's more so the way he's being coached. He wasn't being coached properly. And that showed problems. And he actually improved upon that when he got to Houston. So I don't know if it was something that Romeo helped coach him out of when he got here. Because, of course, his first couple games were a little bit shaky, but as the season went on, he started playing better. And like I say, the game against the Titans, if you go back and watch the game, when we moved him on A.J. Brown, A.J. Brown stopped being less effective. Now, Garyon Conley's not that big of a guy. And if you actually watch it and you look at Garyon Conley, he actually looks a little bit small, but he plays big. And he's a bigger, stronger corner. He's stronger than Bradley Roby. Now, Bradley Roby has more, quote-unquote, flashy skills with the speed and the hands and things like that. So both of those two together actually mix real well because you have a stronger corner, you have a flashier corner. Now, I wish you had another corner on the opposite side. We're going to get to this in a minute to help out Bradley Roby some. But Garyon Conley is definitely an outside corner. You can possibly put him in the slot, but he's more effective at being an outside corner. He's going to be the guy I think is going to take the bulk of the bigger, stronger Ranger receivers because you trust him more than Bradley Roby because you don't see him to get abused and things like that. But he's a guy who definitely can play well, and I definitely think that him and Bradley Roby, especially with them having their chemistry, both knowing each other from Ohio State, can play very well together. Now, the guy that we drafted last year, Lonnie Johnson. Lonnie Johnson had 7 pass deflections last year, no picks, no pick sixes, and no fumbles or fumble recoveries. He really had 8 pass deflections, but they don't count the one against the Titans that happened on special teams where there was the fake punt and he got that pass breakup. They don't count that one because I looked at that. That one's not counted in the 7. But he's a guy who, be honest, he had a lot of penalties last year. He had a lot of flags thrown, and the reason why, because he did not trust his feet. He had bad feet work, bad feet placement, and he did not trust his feet. That's one of the reasons why you've been seeing all this. If you follow him on Instagram, he's been training all off season long with the footwork to get his feet right. And you go look at those drills, his feet look good. You look at the practices, his feet as well. This is the problem. This is where I'm kind of stepping back on when it comes to him and his feet work. Because this wasn't a full-fledged offseason. It wasn't a normal training camp and mini camp and OTAs and things like that. You don't get any preseason games. And I know they've been having scrimmages, but really to tell what kind of scrimmages they were. Because we know they were they really scrimmages or was it a little bit more practice and a little bit more drills and the actual full-fledged scrimmage like you had to do back in high school when you had to go across from your high school to another high school to do a scrimmage. But yeah, no practices against other teams and things like that this year because of the whole COVID-19. The first time he's going to be able to step on the field to face an opponent is going to be September 10th versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And yeah, he's been working on his feet all season long. Will he revert back to what he was doing prior? Because when those routes start coming, and the receiver, he start backpedaling. Will he not trust his feet anymore? Because you've been playing football for the past 10, 15 years. This is the way you've been playing, and now for the past 4, 5 months, you've been training your body to do like this. And now, first time live bullets is flying. Are you going to revert back to how you've been playing football for the past 10 years? Or are you going to be going what you've been doing, what you've been working on for the past couple months? That's the thing that we don't know. That's the thing that I have caused the pause because I don't know if he's going to revert back to how he's been playing or is he going to go back to what he's been training and been working on. So that's going to be remain to be seen because there's no training camp. There's no real training camp this year. There was no OTAs. There was no scrimmages against other teams. There was no practice against the other teams. There's no preseason games. So the first time we're going to get on the field is going to be an actual full-fledged, legitimate game. And will he revert back to what he's been doing for the past couple of years or will he go to what he's been doing for the past couple of months? And if you want to be all honest, I feel when you look at Lion Johnson, when I look at him, he's a safety. And he even said that during his press conference last week, he said that he doesn't play corner or safety for the Texans. He plays DB. So what that tells me is that they're going to use him a lot. They're going to use him in the outside in some packages. They're going to use him in safety in some packages. And to be honest, I really think that by season end, he's going to be the starting safety opposite Justin Reid. I think that's his potential. I think that's where he should be. I think he should be the safety opposite Justin Reid. If you're not going to go after, you couldn't go after Jamal Adams because you didn't have the assets. You're not going to go after Eric Reid. I think that you should start training Lion Johnson to play safety because he's built for safety. Now, the problem with that is that if you do that, you do have a big hole at corner. But so I think they're going to probably use him both ways, at least for the beginning of the season. And I know some of y'all are like, well, he played safety against the Chiefs in that 51-point game that you're talking about against Travis Kelce. I know. I understand that. Part of that reason why is because he wasn't trusting his feet. And since he wasn't trusting his feet, either Travis Kelce was getting loose on him or he was getting flags. That's the reason why the Lion Johnson was penalized so much because he started losing the people. He wasn't trusting his feet. Started getting a little handsy. There come the flags. Wasn't trusting his feet. If he wasn't getting handsy, now the receiver's getting open. They're getting separation. So it all boils down to him trusting his feet. And this work with the footwork king, I think it's going to pay off. I'm not sitting there acting like it's not going to pay off. I think it's going to pay off. I just think it's not going to pay. I just wonder if it's going to pay off as soon as we need it to because of the situation that we are dealt because of this whole pandemic that's happened and how we were robbed of an off-season, of a real full-fledged off-season workout season, and also robbed of a preseason and not able to practice against other teams. So he hasn't got to show off his new skills and work out the kinks against live bullets. Yeah, you've been doing stuff in practice, but that's practice. I know, practice makes perfect, practice makes good, but it's different when you're in a game situation. It's different when live bullets are flying. That's the reason why preseason is vital. I think preseason is very important because it gives players a lot of times to work out a lot of kinks and stuff that they've been trying, okay, that's not going to work really well. I tried in the preseason game, and it didn't work out real well. Okay, that worked out perfect. That worked out better than I thought it was going to work out. So things like that. That's the reason why I believe that the preseason is very important. So the next part I'm talking about is a guy that we brought in also mid-season off of waivers, and that's Vernon Hargreaves. Vernon Hargreaves we brought in from Tampa Bay. Last year, he had a total of 6 pass deflections, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 4 touchdowns, and no fumbles or fumble recoveries. And the pick he had was with Tampa Bay. In the first 9 games, he had 4 pass deflections, and the pick 6 was against with Tampa Bay. And then he had 2 pass deflections as a Texan in the 6 games. And one of them was a real good one. It was against T.Y. Hilton on the Thursday night game against the Colts. He really stuck his hand in and popped the football out. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm really not expecting much out of Hargreaves. They re-brought him back. They cut him and then brought him back. So I think that he's going to have a rotational piece on this team. But I'm not really just hyped on Hargreaves. I was intrigued when we brought him in last year. And then after watching him, I think he's just a corner for depth. I think he's a guy like, like how we got Keon Cross and things like that, like Phillip Gaines, just guys that you're gonna have to use because you ain't gonna have your main guys out there all game, so you're gonna have to rotate corners out there. And I just think that's really what he is. I just think he just happened to be a name because he was a first round pick. I think he was pick 11th back in 2015, 2014, 2015. So I just don't really expect a lot from him, and I really don't expect much. I really don't expect a lot from him. But I know I want to mention him because they did go out there and re-sign him, and they brought him in last year on waivers. But I just don't. I really don't expect that much out of Vernon Hargreaves, to be honest with you. I would prefer them actually really not to brought him back, but it is what it is. Now let's talk about the best guy in the secondary, in my personal opinion, and that's Justin Reid. The safety, Justin Reid. Last year, Justin Reid had 5 pass deflections, had 2 picks, no fumble recoveries and no fumble recoveries and forced fumbles. But he really did. He had no pick 6. He had a fumble recovery. It just wasn't counted as a fumble recovery. The game against Tennessee when he knocked out the ball and Whitney Mercer was able to pick it back up. So they kind of count that really as a pick for Whitney Merciless. And also, he really had a pick 6 against Tampa Bay, but they called that bull a pass interference call. I think it was on blocking the back call. I think it was on it was either Cunningham or it was Bernard and McKinney. I know it was one of the two. They called a block in the back after Justin Reid scored a touchdown. Like they count the pick, but they said that the return was null and void because of a quote unquote block in the back. And when they showed the replay, it wasn't a block in the back. So he really should have had a pick 6. But we already know what type of player Justin Reid is. I'm full-fledged believe that Justin Reid is going to be a Pro Bowl player this year. And that's one of the reasons why I want us to bring in a Jamal Adams or Eric Reid, because especially if you brought in Jamal Adams, I think that we would have the best safety tandem in the NFL because I believe that much in Justin Reid. He has impact plays every single year. The pick 6 against Washington, the forced fumble against Buffalo, week 2 against Jacksonville when he stops Leonard Fournette on the goal line, the play I just mentioned about against the Titans when he knocks the ball out on the goal line again on the goal line, so Whitney Merciless could take it to the house. Those right there are 3 different goal line plays. The forced fumble against Cleveland last year, 2 years ago. The pick 6 2 years ago against Washington, that was in the goal line. And then last year, the game against Tennessee. Those are 4. And then also the 2-point conversion. So that's 4 times on the goal line that he has basically saved the Texans bacon. So he's a very impactful safety, a very impactful player. And last year, he played all season with a bum shoulder because we forgot that during off season, well, actually not during off season, I think it was like during training camp. I think it was not around this time because around this time would be preseason games. I think it was in late July he got into the car accident and messed up his shoulder. So he was playing all year on a dislocated shoulder. It was still able to impact plays. It was plenty of times that Justin Reid would leave the game in the middle of the game, but always came back. Always finished out the game and always played the following week. So that right there shows you that he even said so. I think when they said something about us playing Kansas City again, season opener, he said, and they brought up the 51 points, and he said, let him try that when I'm don't have a bump shoulder. My shoulder not dislocated. He knows exactly what he's capable of doing. He showed you what he's capable of doing with a messed up shoulder. So that right there, that tells you exactly what type of impactful player he is and what type of impactful player he can be. And I think that really the secondary starts and begins with Justin Reid. I think Justin Reid is going to be the catalyst, is going to be the reason why the secondary can succeed or why it won't succeed if he's not on the field or if he doesn't get the proper help that he should get. And I think he possibly could. One, if they were able to bring in somebody like his brother, like Eric Reid, or if they move Lion Johnson to full-fledged safety. The only problem with that is about the whole cornerback situation. Now, the other safety that they brought in, and that's Eric Murray that they brought in from Cleveland. Last year, he had 1 pass deflection, no picks, no interception. No picks, no fumbles, no fumble recovery. And it's a guy they gave a contract to that a lot of people in Cleveland don't even know who Eric Murray is. And I think they're going to try and miss safety, but from everything I've been hearing, that's part of the reason why they've been trying out Lion Johnson at safety and using him as a DB is because we already see that Lion Johnson can play strong safety better than Eric Murray. And I think it's one of those Bill O'Brien's I'm the smartest guy in the room move. And I know me and Honcho talked about this when Eric Murray first got signed, that maybe Eric Murray played well against Bill O'Brien, maybe when he was at Penn State and he played against him in college. But obviously, Bill O'Brien knows who he is. And Bill O'Brien, that's the reason why Bill O'Brien gave the contract. And I actually think that Bill O'Brien, especially early on, he didn't want to do the whole negotiating process. He basically like, hey, I'm going to just give you this money. You going to sign, you're not going to sign. I'm not about to go back and forth with you. And that... One of those have to be true. Either he knew Eric Murray for another situation, and that's the reason why he signed him and gave him a bag, or he just didn't want to do a negotiation process and just offer him some money just to bring him in, just to will him in. Just I don't care. Like, hey, you gonna take this money? Either you're gonna take this money, you're not gonna take this money. Which one is it? And I think it's one of those type of situations because, to be honest, I really don't understand exactly why he got the bag that he got. And I don't really think that he is going to be, at the end of the day, I don't think that he's going to be the permanent safety. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I think that Lion Johnson is going to take over that spot, or maybe they bring in Eric Reid later on mid-season. I don't know. But I don't think that he's going to be long, even though we pay him. I think he has guaranteed money for the next 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he's going to be long-term strong safety, and if he is, I don't see it boding well. I think it could be serviceable, especially if both Bradley Roby and Gary Conley play well. And I think if they play well as a secondary, he might. Basically, what I'm saying, if the secondary plays well and Eric Murray's out there, I think that Eric Murray might be the weakest link. I know he had a pick six at practice the other day. It was a tip pass off of Bradley Roby. He was able to pick it off and take it to the house. Again, that's practice. 7-on-7 or 11-on-11, either 11-11 or 7-on-7, but it wasn't full pass. We already know how practice is, and it is. I take what I hear out of practice a lot with a grain of salt, because, like I said, I see some things and I'm like, you could tell that they weren't even going hard right there, so I can't really take that with 100%. Okay, cool, man, we about to go hard. We about to wreck this year. Like I said, you got other guys out there. I know they I know we brought in Reid. Is it Justice Reid? Not Justice Reid. John Reid, the cornerback that we drafted out of Penn State, and they say he's been playing well. And who knows? Maybe he could be the guy who could be the other outside corner that can help Bradley Roby move in the inside, especially if you move Lonnie Johnson onto the move Lion Johnson to be a safety. But I think he's a project. I would have much rather the Texans during the draft. Y'all know I wanted us to draft Diggs, or if they would have drafted Bryce Hall out of Virginia. I thought because he's another big, long, rangy corner. I thought that he would be a guy big, strong corner that you could help. But he got a lot of length and a lot of strength. But John Reid is very smart. I just think that he's a project. I just think I'm not. I think he's definitely a very good special teams player. But I think as far as especially playing corner, because corner is the hardest position to learn as a rookie. Now you talking about a situation with no off season, no preseason, things like that. It's going to be exactly even more hard because that's one of the hardest positions to learn in the NFL. Coming off a rookie year is that position. So that's going to be hard for him, especially to take the role this season. Now, who knows? He might be the exception. Like I said, he is a very smart, bright guy. He might be the exception, but that would be remain to be seen. And all in all, do I think the secondary has improved, even though it's pretty much the same group of guys that gave up 51 points? I actually do. I think it's improved more from last year. Like I said, I'm very concerned about this position. But the reason why I'm more concerned about the running back position than this one is because this one has talent that I can see in Roby, especially in Reid, in Conley, and I think that Lonnie Johnson has a lot of potential as well. I think a lot of this is a lot of group of guys that did not play well, did not play with each other a lot last year. I mean, you had Justin Reid, who was a staple, but Lonnie Johnson was a rookie, second round pick. That was a rookie. Bradley Roby, you just brought in from Denver, and then you brought in Garyon Conley mid-season. And then when you brought in Garyon Conley, Roby wasn't active. And then when Roby became active, that game against the Patriots, Garyon Conley wasn't playing. And then Justin Reid had a bum shoulder. Lonnie Johnson, because he was a rookie, he was having no rookie roles. The scale of being a rookie, he's learning the ropes in the NFL, not trusting his feet, things like that. So I think all those things have been improved because now you got guys like Conley and Roby. They're gonna be able to play with each other more now this year. They both acclimated, more trust in the city of Houston. Reid is healthy, and Lonnie Johnson hopefully has improved his feet work. I think that they're going to play more as a unit because Roby even said himself, we basically just a cast of guys just out here just playing football. We just basically just a bunch of guys. I think now this year they are a team, they are a secondary, and I think that they're going to play well together this year better than they did last year. I'm not saying they're about to be the best secondary in the NFL. I'm not even saying they be in top 15, but I do think they're going to be more improved than last year. How much improved is the question. Like, subscribe if you haven't, comment below if you haven't, click that bell to get more videos. I holla.